This is a review of Survivor Season 35, Episode 2, I'm a Wild Banshee. Welcome to the Dylan Berry Network. I am your host, Dylan. With me, as always, Richie Becerra, as we are moving through Survivor Season 35 as a way to kind of get to know Chrissy before Season 50 comes along. Going through every episode, and we are here at Episode 2 of Heroes versus Healers versus Hustlers. Richie, how did you feel overall about episode 2?
It was an okay episode. Nothing I feel like that was super crazy transpired. I think you get a
No.
little bit more insight kind of into this blue tribe and kind of their dynamic. Maybe a little bit more into the red as well. I still don't feel like we've seen a whole lot of the yellow tribe,
Yeah.
but I'm sure we will in these episodes to come.
The early episodes, like I feel like it's easy to go in and expect very little because not many people are ready to come out and make
Hmm.
big plays. You don't fully know the characters yet. And yeah, I thought it was a decent episode. We're going to recap the entire thing. We're going to do a Survivor press conference at the end. We'll talk about who's survivors, which castaway stock is up, which castaway stock is down. And yeah, we'll rename the episode as well. I'm a Wild Banshee is the name. I don't remember who said that in this episode. But we can come up with a better name, and we will at the end. But let's go through it now. We get back from Tribal, and kind of an interesting moment happens here. We do see a little bit of Chrissy gameplay, as we just mentioned her a second ago. Chrissy reveals that she has this idol, and we wondered like, hey, why didn't you play it,
Hmm.
or did you think about playing it? That was our question last episode. We get a great move from her to say that she still has it as a decoy. And that's a pretty smart, big brain move to go like, yeah, this thing's dead, but I can still use it. Maybe cause some paranoia. Liked that. Alan thinks he's planted the right seeds about JP, but it seems
Hmm.
like I don't know if those will fully fall through. The next day, we see the Hustlers tribe, and right away they kind of show you that Simone is on the outs, and they don't necessarily say why. And that's got to be a dynamic thing that happens while you're out there. I don't, dude. How important is it not to be that sixth person? Like you
Oh,
can't
yeah.
be this outsider.
Especially when it's that little of tribes too. I mean,
Yeah,
you got to find at least one, or and you can't really just do one and make it that obvious that it's just you two, because then it gives all the other four all the more reason just to go after you two right away.
yeah.
So it's a tough situation for sure.
There has to be something there about like really, yeah. You hit the beach and you have to make connections quick, and become
Hmm.
reliable quick. And it's clear that Simone was struggling with that early on. Over at the Healers Tribe, we do see Cole and Jessica get a little bit of a crush going. We haven't fully see this play out yet. I do love a good showmance. That feels classic Survivor.
Hmm.
But it did make me think, like, do you think that we would ever, in the history of going forward, will ever see like a Robin Amber situation? Of a couple who
Uh,
like falls in love out there and makes it all the way to the end, or was that like a once in a series thing?
I don't know if that can happen anymore because now anytime anyone gets inklings of a couple that's tight, they're gone. One of the
Yeah.
people is gone.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, even I guess D and Austin were kind of close, and I don't know if they were hiding it well or whatnot, but D was on the better side of that, and ultimately did her
Hmm.
best to win the game, and that was the right move. But yeah, I was just like, ultimately, like this is always dangerous unless you can keep your alliance hidden, which is rarely done. We saw Kyle and Camilla recently do
Hmm.
that. Also at this Healers Tribe, Joe continues to kind of bully Mike. I still am not fully sure why, but he's definitely got the upper hand on this guy. And yeah, at one point Joe's like, I got to go speed off and get the idol, see if I can find something. He finds a clue on a tree branch. That's got to be one of the cooler clues that Survivor's
Hmm.
given in terms of like, dude, it's right there. It's kind of clear, but kind of not clear. They got to bring this back, right? Like right on the tree branch like that.
I like that, and I wonder though if because they only kind of did it that one season, if people didn't like it as much, like fans or something didn't
Oh,
like it, or it just wasn't perceived well. You kind of got it a
yeah.
little bit in this last season with some
Oh,
clues
yeah, yeah.
on the tree, but it wasn't straight to where the idol was.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was pretty exciting, and I mean he decides to bring in what's that guy's name? Cole, right? Is that or no?
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, he brings in Cole, um, and yeah, they go off, and Cole makes him realize that it's not about the raft; it's about the water well. They go, they dig it up pretty quickly, and then yeah, now Cole is in on it. Joe decides to bring him in. This is a little different than what we said earlier, though, about like, oh,
Hmm.
telling someone about an advantage is good because it was going to be gone after the first tribal. I mean, Joe even admits this is a risky move here. Brings Cole in. They do end up scraping off the clue. I thought that was a pretty smart move too. And
Yeah.
yeah, Joe now has an idol. Pretty powerful, pretty crazy, and he says he's planted seeds that, Mike has the idol and that he's still going to keep hammering that in. Some quick gameplay from Joe.
Yeah.
Over at the Hustlers tribe, there was a quote here that I wrote down. It says, is from Patrick, and he says, "Keep everyone having fun, and that's how you keep yourself from the bullseye." And this kind of ends up being the crux to it. What do you make of that philosophy? Like, is that effective? Is that
I definitely think it's effective to some degree, but you have to know your crowd and play to your crowd.
yeah,
You have to have social awareness. That's probably priority number one in that situation. His social awareness has not been very good because, as we can see from the other tribe mates' faces and lack of, I guess, laughing or playing into his jokes, they're
yeah,
not into it at all.
no, 100%. Yeah, Lauren, the fisherman, fisherwoman, fisher lady, very annoyed by him. And I love it when like Survivor or when castaways get annoyed with each other too, because I'm like, that makes a lot of sense to me, especially
Hmm.
personalities clashing. Bringing in, yeah, it was interesting. Patrick felt like he could be the silly one at camp, and that's a good thing. But um, yeah, it ends up being pretty interesting later on. The immunity challenge comes. They're battling for epic fishing kits. I absolutely love that. Again, Katrina, who went home episode 1, Olympic swimmer, probably would have been amazing for this challenge.
Hmm.
It's okay because the heroes still won without her. But yeah, like this, we talked about it over the weekend while you were here. Is I said, look, if you have 6 weeks to go until Survivor, if you got a call right now saying you're going to Survivor, what type of training, what type of eating would you be
Hmm.
doing? I feel like lung training has to be there because they're underwater, especially this challenge, for a long time. To be pushing those things along, how, I mean, can that come from cardio or do you need to practice underwater?
I mean, it can, but for sure you got to practice in the water. I don't think that I put that high on my choice because it's very few that you're going to need that in those challenges. And I think you can fake it till you make it for a challenge or two, where other things like grip strength, balance, those kind of things I feel like are more important and more challenges.
Yeah. Yeah, especially like as you get further in the game. Because, yeah, all these kind of big like swim challenges usually are right at the
Hmm.
beginning or when it's tribe versus tribe. Because, yeah, I was thinking like, man, I would be so gassed if I was doing this one, like going down. You have to untie, then push things along in the gate. And then a really cool puzzle at the end of arrows pointing to the different places that
Hmm.
Survivor's been where you spin it and it has to fit correctly. I've not seen a puzzle like that from Survivor,
Yeah.
and like it was clearly really hard too. It kind of seems simple, but to them
Hmm.
they could not figure it out until the very end. And the healers get first place, heroes get second, and the hustlers are sent to tribal council. And yeah, during scrambling, Simone immediately gets back. She's the one that kind of failed at the puzzle there. So again, classic Survivor is, man, you mess up the puzzle, you go home. And we've seen that in New Era that that's not always the case. And they kind of hint at it in this scrambling too that, hey, picking people who you can vote alongside with might be more important. But with six
Hmm.
on, I don't know, second tribal losing, I don't know. I don't know how you could vote not for Patrick when Patrick's kind of one of the biggest guys out there.
Yeah. Seriously.
And Patrick obviously locked on Simone. but then, everyone kind of does consider Patrick here in this moment. But yeah, anything else from Scrambling there? Probably not.
No, yeah,
Yeah,
pretty straightforward, really.
pretty straightforward. We get to tribal. I mean, it did kind of like. Were you feeling once we got to tribal that like the votes could go a different way than they went? Because I mean, it seemed like Patrick's like stumbled on his words a little bit there, but ultimately that was
Hmm.
all acting. Him saying he doesn't fully trust everyone on the tribe,
Yeah,
which I think that's what everyone would say, right?
for sure. Yeah, and
Um,
I mean, I did feel kind of all along it was Simone. It almost felt too much like we've seen it time and time again where they need a second person to, oh, maybe it's this person.
yeah,
But I mean, in that scenario, you have to vote out the weaker tribe mate for sure.
yeah. Yeah, they all kind of talk it out. They do talk about trust and going forward. They're kind of leading you down. Could this be a close vote? But we do get to the votes, and it's 5-1 again, which is also kind of shocking to go back to back, two unanimous votes,
Hmm.
but a clear like two back to back quote unquote weak people voted out. And some tribes stay strong. I don't have really any words for Simone other than like I went and looked at Simone's Instagram. It's pretty wiped of Survivor, and even like there's not much
Uh,
to say about Simone like anywhere else. Even like I saw in one of her tagged photos, it's like the whole cast on the bus like going to the reunion, and Simone's like sitting by herself, and I'm like,
oh
oh,
no,
that like that's also it's just gotta be painful because all the
yeah,
camaraderie you see everyone make by the end of the season, you're out. That's got to stink, and it's almost like you weren't on
hmm,
Survivor, right? Like if you're out
yeah.
before, if you're out this early and you don't make that much of a splash, like Banu for sure was on Survivor, but like
There's a select few people who were voted out, like three or lower, that it's like their name.
yeah, yeah, and
Select
and
few for sure.
and of those select few, a bunch of them got brought back, so it was a little bit like, oh well, we got to
Yeah.
know them later, and yeah,
Hmm.
so not much to say about Simone here. Because ultimately, if this tribes loses next week, if they would have won this week, they probably would have voted out Simone anyway. Didn't seem like much of
Yeah.
a gamer. Didn't seem like was in a good place. So, adios, Simone. Let's move to the Survivor press conference. You got any questions for Jeff or a castaway?
I have a question for Jeff, and mine would be just in the years that he's seen this, what's more important is being trusted or being liked
Mm,
early on in the game?
great question. Great question. And how has
Because they
that
kind of talk
changed?
about that
Yeah.
a little bit in this tribal, and he brings up the whole trust thing to Patrick, obviously, and they obviously trust Patrick, but they might not like him as much.
Yeah.
But in this case, they went with him. So,
Yeah. No, that's a great question. Mine goes to Joe because again, Joe has this. I wonder. So my question for Joe is, what vibes were you catching from Mike that you just didn't like? Like I don't. I wonder if because I don't know when you're out there on an island and like if you just don't gel with someone right away, like there are
hmm,
personality types that will write you off and they're just like,
yeah,
dude, if I don't get it,
for
if
sure.
I don't get it right away, we're done. And I wonder I mean, this has happened plenty of times in Survivor, but I wonder with Joe what it is, and also from Mike, I guess, how much were you really feeling that? Because from everything they showed us from that camp, Joe was just going after this poor guy who was like ultimately, trying to search for idols for his kids and all this stuff and playing the game. But you get this bigger dude coming at him. I don't know. It's an interesting dynamic. It's early. It's the early in the season, so a lot of things will play out
Hmm.
and get more interesting. But that's kind of what I saw. Let's go to stock up, stock down. Who do you got? Stock up. We might be close here.
Stock up, I went with Chrissy.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Because I think she was at the bottom
Yeah.
after the vote, and
Yeah.
I think she kind of positioned herself in a good spot with Ben. There's kind of that turmoil from JP and the other girl and Alan, so I think she's in a way better spot than she was last episode. So stock up, Chrissy.
Yeah. And it seems like people are on to Allen a bit too.
Hmm.
So yeah, I like that call. I'm going with Joe just because Joe found an idol. He did bring in. Gosh, I already forgot his name again.
Cole.
Cole. He did bring in Cole, which I did see the teaser after I wrote this down, and it sounds like Cole is going to use that against him in the next episode. But for the moment, his stock is up because he has an idol. And yeah, no one else has an idol right now because
Yeah.
there was only one idol that was handed to the other tribe. Yeah, so I'm going with Joe. Who do you got for stock down?
I went with Patrick. I think anytime you're being annoying around camp and you get rid of the weakest person, you're kind of next in line to go
Yeah.
if things don't go your tribe's way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good pick. Yeah, especially because it's hard too because they were 5-1. This wasn't a split vote, so it really is hard to tell who's on the bottom. Like Chrissy was a little more clear because it was like 1 or 2, but yeah, it's like no one ultimately threw a vote Patrick's way other than Simone. So yeah, that's a good pick. I actually went with Mike as long as Joe. I don't know. The Joe Mike dynamic's all I could take from this episode and the episode before. Just that, like, man, it feels like this one dude is the only. It's really the only other and Alan, I guess. Like we were only seeing aggressiveness out of Alan and Joe. I feel like let's play this game, let's get nasty, let's like whatever. And I think that could be a problem for Mike, especially. I don't know if this continues. So that's what I did. Let's rename the episode. I'm a Wild Banshee was the name of the episode. What do you got for this one?
I went with every man for himself, and that's what Ben says at the beginning of the episode when they ask him about kind of about the four core or core four, and he kind of says it's not a thing anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, already thrown away a core 4 alliance by episode 2. Pretty nuts. I went with if it were easy, it wouldn't be Survivor. Jeff says that a lot. I heard him say it in this episode. Yeah. And yeah, I thought that was just overall good quote. I mean, maybe it doesn't encapsulate the episode perfectly, but again, this is early in the season. We don't have this. I mean, even this episode's not that long to record because there's not a lot of meat on the bone just yet.
Yeah.
But we got a romance cooking. We got an idol out there now. Some maybe weaker or not very strong personalities are gone. And yeah, I'm excited.
That did kind of remind me of something JP says at one point in the episode. He's like, we don't have any romance or relationship at all. He's like, but if they're gonna think it, we might as well do it.
Yeah, man. That which is like, all right, to do it. Like, and I just came from watching Millennials versus Gen X too. I watched that during this little break too, and there's a really good Figgy and I forget that guy's name. Yeah, I forget his name, but great Taylor. Yes, Figgy and Taylor.
Those pigtails.
Pigtails, which I'm like, that was a perfect, like, that's exactly what they hoped for in casting, that millennials, the young kids, would all group up. That was a perfect romance, and especially because it bombed pretty hard too. Made that one so epic. So I'm excited to see this play out. I don't know. I hope that there's a showmance in the next couple seasons of Survivor too, because that would just, I don't know. It is a really interesting wrinkle, and it feels like classic Survivor. And yeah, like I think there is a new era couple that is together. There is, I forget. They're like from one of the early 40s.
Couture and Sabaya.
Oh yes, I did see that one, but I'm thinking of someone else. Survivor couples. Let me look this up. See if their name comes. Oh yeah, Franny, and Matthew. That's who I'm thinking of.
Oh, they're together still?
Yeah, they are still together.
Oh,
I believe. Yeah, I feel like someone told me that recently that they are still together, and I was like, oh. And I think they only barely spent time together too, out on the island. So interesting stuff. We'll be back for episode 3 of season 35. We'll see you then.